I was just afraid now that once I'm done here, I go out. I'm just kidding.
Not unless they're getting paid.
Would it have been strange if I'd asked for Mickey Rourke? I mean, he did play arrested, right?
Yes, he did. He got nominated.
Yes, he did. It was the same director who did Black Swan, right?
Yes.
Right, exactly. And at some point.
Because I remember making the night.
That's cute.
That's right.
Very personality.
That's right. There's actually.
Oh, they
Yeah.
like all
That's really, yeah. My memory of 9.5 weeks. Is this on? Yeah, my memory of 9.5 weeks is the fact that I watched that movie with my parents.
Oh, God. Oh, and you're very uncomfortable, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was little, so it's like, and you watch, because you had cable, where back in the day, cable was a box, and it was the wires that connected to your TV. Back in 2010, no. And so we would watch a lot of these films, and I know it was heard that Linda Blair, the woman who played the girl in The Exorcist, was going to be here as well. And
Yes, I was very looking forward to that.
I was, I was, but I really, the other half was, I wasn't, I was scared.
She freaked me out too.
Hey man, hi. We're talking about The Exorcist right now, so, and I see you guys, and I see you with the things on your head, that's freaking me out. So anyway.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we grew up watching cable TV, and one of them was 9.5 Weeks, and it was strange because you were watching that. It reminded me of my girlfriend at the time. We wanted to go to the movie theaters, and we saw, she was working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and we saw, she wanted to see Eyes Wide Shut, is that film with Stanley Cooper. Pretty intense film.
Oh, God.
So we're going out to the theater, and her mom goes, I want to go to the movie theaters. I'm like, and then her dad says, well, I'll go with you guys. So we all go to theaters, and they're like, no, we'll watch the movie together. I'm thinking, so there I am sitting down with my girlfriend here, her father here, and her mother there, and we start watching Eyes Wide Shut, and all of a sudden I'm like looking around to the side, and the father's like this, looking at me. I'm like, I didn't pick it, your daughter did. And his wife, her mother's like this, watching the film. And there's some movies that you just don't watch with your parents.
No.
Fatal Attraction.
Should be a list.
There should be a Fatal Attraction, The Exorcist. Yeah, because after The Exorcist, I went to church like every day practically. It was just so odd. But maybe that's the reason why I got into acting. I grew up watching cable TV, and I watched a lot of film, and movie classics had. There was a channel, I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was that, but they had a lot of Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. So, and I like actors, especially when it comes to making specific choices on characters. That's why I'm a big fan of Marlon Brando and Johnny Depp per se. So I'm going to film school and studying theater. I would do all these plays. And while that was happening, I was auditioning for commercials and doing parts in movies and TV shows. But then I got this movie script, and it was called Napoleon Dynamite. and I had gotten Pedro. I was thinking, okay, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, all right, I'm gonna trust my instinct and see what happens. And at the same time, my agent called me up and said, you have an audition for a film called The Alamo. So I had an audition for both these films, and I remember having to raid my father's closet, and I go to my parents' house, and I go straight to the room, and I'm like robbing my dad's clothes for the audition. At the time, I was working on a TV show called Even Stevens. It was one with Shia LaBeouf. I don't know if you guys, the kid from Transformers. it was hard at the time. Sometimes I would take the bus, but you know, it was my life as an actor, and I auditioned for it, and then I get a call back, and I meet the director and the producers for both pictures, and I ended up booking these 2 movies. You know, I got the job, and I remember having to tell my manager at the time, like, I just got Napoleon Dynamite, and I had this other film, The Alamo. What do I do? And the manager goes, well, you should put The Alamo. And I told her, well, you know what, I'm going to pick Napoleon Dynamite as a lead role, and it's a character role, and I couldn't say no. It didn't go too well. So, you know, making that choice in Napoleon Dynamite, I didn't know that my life was going to change so drastically. You know, I became, once we did the film and we shot it, it not only got picked up at the Sundance Film Festival, but getting picked up by 20th Century Fox and Paramount Pictures and MTV Films. And when it blew up as it did, I'm like, it was strange, you know, because you become a celebrity overnight, you know, and I'm still trying to figure out what a celebrity is or what it means. I can tell you guys I'm an actor and an artist at first. And I love acting. You know, I love meeting other actors who are very creative, who do the work, and they talk about the work. You know, I remember having to go to a premiere for The War of the Worlds, and I saw Sir Anthony Hopkins with a button saying "Vote for Pedro." And I saw him.
I did it.
Sir Anthony Hopkins, yes, you played Pedro. I'm like, oh my Lanta, don't eat me. So it was so odd, and I thought, like, this is really cool. And getting great advice from him, or from Jack Nicholson to Edward James Olmos, the great Edward James Olmos. You know? It's just been such a fortunate road for me to be able to sit down next to Daniel Day-Lewis on one side and have Steve Buscemi on Boardwalk. I'm like, this is so amazing, and just getting great advice. You know, meeting Benicio del Toro or Johnny Depp, and going, all right, I know what I have to do. Because after Napoleon Dynamite, there were so many questions about and offers that were quite the same kind of character. And I thought about, let's just go with it and run with it. After meeting all these actors, I don't think that's enough. You know, I know I have friend actors who work in films all the time, and they play the same type of role, and it's cool and it works for them. It's good. But even with Dustin Hoffman, I'm going to say, you know what? James Bridges told me something. He goes, once you play a character, you want to go a little 45 degrees. You know, play a character just a little different. You know, pull people in. Remember who you are, but keep playing something different. And I remember having to talk to Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and I had done a small scene in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and the director, I can't remember his name, Doug Lyman. He had done a picture years ago, and he wanted to hire him, but we never worked together. And then when he hired me for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they go, well, you'll be working with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. What? Angelina Jolie? Yes, whatever she wants. Got it. You know, and just spending time with them, because he had seen Napoleon Dynamite as well. You know, and this was a film that was like, it was like a shot heard around the world. You know, everywhere all over the world. You know, from being in Australia to Europe, Africa, you know, Saudi Arabia, you know, from not only the soldiers, but the people who would look at me and go, yeah, you played Pedro. I'm like, yes, I did. Yes, I did. You know, from monks from Tibet, it's like, wow, again, this is a movie that people can sit together and watch and enjoy. You know, and now I'm able to play all these different characters in films, so even when I go to the tables and people see the pictures laid across, they see all these different characters. I'm like, yeah, that's me too. Yeah, that's me too. Yeah, that's me too. And I want to be able to be 60 years old and say, yeah, that's me too. So it has been an interesting journey. But I remember Jared and Jerusha Hess, who directed it and wrote the picture, it was a hard struggle because when we were in Preston, Idaho, shooting this independent film for 23 days, we had no idea how big it was going to be. He just knew that it was a film that he wanted to do. He had done, I don't know if you guys had seen it, there's a film called Peluca. It was a short film of the life of Napoleon Dynamite. And there were two characters by the name of Gail and Pedro that I know Jared had told me, get those two characters, put them together, make them into one. I'm like, all right. So, but he had done the short film for about $700, and he turned it into a film festival. And he won a standing ovation award, and it was tailored into him having to create the screenplay of Napoleon Dynamite and market it, and hopefully finding a studio that would support it and back it up. He took it to different studios, he marketed it, but nobody wanted to produce the film because they thought it was just so odd. They thought it was just so weird. And so he and his friends got together and they raised $500,000 to shoot the movie. And so when they did, there I was in Preston, Idaho, where nothing really happens. You know, people ask me about Napoleon Dynamite, like, what year does it take place? Now. Yeah, that, not much really happened in Preston.
That's what it looks
Yeah. You know, it really was very simple. And I remember the director saying, we don't have that much filmed, so we're going to have to rehearse this again. I'm like, oh, all right. But there are moments in the film like that were very funny, which, like for instance, when Napoleon's riding on a bike and he gets hit on the head and gets you know, that they kept on missing him, and John was like, "Don't just hit me in the face, gosh!" So Uncle Rico, Jonathan Grice, was like, "You know, I used to play baseball. I'm gonna chuck it in your face." So he really knocked him really hard, and he ended up getting a big bump and a bruise on his face. I felt so bad for John. And while that was happening, the reason you can watch it in the film where I'm on the bike and I'm scooting really fast to get out of the way. They thought I was getting out of the way because I don't want to get hit. No, I was too busy laughing, and I don't want to be caught on camera cracking up. So there are many moments like that. Even with the piñata when I was with Tina Majorino, who plays Deb. You know, we're doing the scene and I'm like, yeah, Jared goes action. I play a student and I go, who has the first line? And you're not trying not to move your lips, but I had the first line. You know, we were too busy cracking up on the piñata and everything. There are a lot of the moments in the film that are based on real life. Aaron Rule, who played Kip, his little brother actually ordered a time machine online, assuming that he could go back in time. You know, and the whole lips thing with their chapped lips was so funny. They're based on the director's actual moments of life, because when you're in Preston, Idaho, things like that happen. The name of the llama is actually called Dolly. It's Dalai Lama, and it actually belongs to the director's mother, so whose name is Christmas, by the way. Go figure. So you know, many people talk about having to do a sequel to Napoleon Dynamite, and I don't know. A few reasons why it didn't happen. One was because after Napoleon Dynamite, all of our schedules got so busy. We all got involved with working different projects. And the other part, like as I discussed before, either making a sequel or making a prequel. You know, Pedro goes to the Grand Canyon trying to figure out who could find as friends, or Napoleon hunting for wolverines, or Kip becoming a cage fighter. Who knows? Like, where would we go with the sequel? Like, what would happen to Napoleon? What would happen to Pedro? Do they then become teachers at the school? Does Pedro? I mean, how far in advance do they go? Does Pedro become decide to run, as governor? What happens with Kip and the Fonda? Do they have children? And by the way, do you guys remember the woman on the bike who shows up at the end, where Uncle Rico's he's at the end of the movie, Uncle Rico is with his van. There's a woman who shows up at the end of the bike, but that woman is actually the wife of the actor who played Kip, Aaron Rule. So, in case people do wonder who she was. What else can I tell you about the movie? they made the animated series, and Fox did a whole season of it. And what I just heard is that it's coming out on DVD in November. Somebody was asking about that. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, I did shave my head. I remember having to see a little kid who was dressed up as a pinhead, you know, about 7 years old, 8 years old. You know, he's got all these nails on his face. I'm like, okay. Ramirez is my favorite movie besides Napoleon Dynamite. Wow, same genre, huh? You should see the parents. So anyways, and he was a big fan of Napoleon Dynamite, and he was asking, so Pedro, did you really, Pedro, yeah, you know that movie, Pedro? Yes, cough it up, pinhead. So, did you really, yeah, Pedro, did you really, shave your head, because you got hot, Pedro? No, it was CGI. I knew it. So those are some of the funny stories about Napoleon Dynamite. Anybody have any questions about that? Anyone? You over here on this side? No? Okay, cool. Over here? VIP here? Yeah. Yes?
Yeah, I know you was in the sci-fi movie King Cobra. King Cobra. Yeah.
Stalker? No, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was in King Cobra. Yes, I was in King Cobra. I like those brothers. It was funny.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what she's talking about? Okay, we'll keep it at that. No, I'm kidding.
Everybody's gonna Google it, so.
No, yes, I was. No. I'll tell you a funny story. I did a film, an independent film called King Cobra. It was with Pat Morita.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Pat Morita, what's on, right? And Eric Estrada.
Oh yeah.
I gotta watch it now.
That movie. So.
Yeah, you was make it out.
It was weird.
Oh my gosh.
Because, it was weird because I remember having an audition. It's a teen boy and teen girl, and we're supposed to be making out in the forest, and we're running in the forest like two goofy fairies, whatever. Oh, and then we stop at a tree, and then I'm talking to her like we're gonna have a good time. This place is awesome, and next thing you know, we hear this weird eerie sound. I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from, and then we look up and we realize it's like a 40-foot snake. And it devours me. It just bites me, and then next you know it attacks her and gobbles her up. And they wanted to add a scene where you could see the snake and you could see her body inside that snake. We just never shot that. I was working on another picture at the same time. And so when I did that film, I had a mustache, right? So we did one scene, and they wanted to go back and do some more footage. So I was working on another movie, so when I went back to working on a picture, I had shaved. So the lady with makeup put like hair on my face.
Oh no.
But the day when we went back, it was a kissing scene. So and my mustache was on her face. I had all of it, and they gave me the lipstick that there's like a no smear lipstick, right?
Yeah.
All right. The ladies are like, yep. Yeah, so she had so I had lipstick all over my face and my mustache all over her face.
Yeah.
I was like, is this a horror film or is this a comedy? And I remember having to audition for it, and I went in with her, and it was cool. I'm not too keen on kissing someone in front of camera. I could do it on stage, but on camera I'm like, stop watching, everybody. This is weird. As we went out in the waiting room, then they called in some dude, then they called her to go in with that guy. And I'm like, my girlfriend's gonna go in and kiss some dude. But then after that, some girl came in, and then I had to go in with the girl, and she looked and she was like, you're gonna go kiss that girl, huh? I'm like, it's part of the job. Don't kill me.
I want to enjoy it.
So, I want to enjoy it. I'll be thinking of you. So,
I hate it. She's gross.
I hate you, girl. Shit, two tongues. No. So I ended up getting hired on behalf of knowing the fact that if I get hired, she'll get hired as well, or she gets hired, I'll get hired as well, which is really cool. And Scott Scott and David Hillenbrand are the directors who did the picture, and they had done another horror film about a bunch of teenagers doing a college party in Mexico. I don't know. But Iyari, she moved on to doing, after that King Cobra film, she did a whole season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, and that was really cool. And she had done some of these panels at Comic-Con and Fan Expo. So when I started to do some of these, I bumped into some people from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was like, yeah, I remember her. I'm like, cool. So as I said, after Napoleon Dynamite, everything changed for me. I'm able to select and pick where I want to go and what I want to do as an actor. Another film that came across after Napoleon was a film called Crank. It's where with Jason Statham, the action actor who does Expendables and Transporter, I remember after having to do the picture in the movie. For those of you who have not seen it, I play a transvestite, and I'm kind of like the informant. And in the first film, I die. So when they made a sequel to the film, I played my own twin brother. Yeah, because the first guy is so feminine and so.
And you're all macho.
And the second one, I played like just a badass. I'm trying to emulate characters that are memorable, and I try to bring in Martin Gore and Freddie Mercury into the twist to the character in Crank. Yeah, so when I did that picture, they hired me. They got a trainer, someone who could teach me how to ride motorcycles, and I started to learn kung fu and weapons. I'm like, sweet, When I did the first Crank, I remember shooting on Sunset, and I was dressed up all in drag, and I had a lipstick and everything, and these guys, as I'm walking with security, these guys are whistling at me. I'm like, what the heck? Because I'm thinking, who are they whistling at? And I'm like, wait, they're whistling at me. And I turn around, they're like, hey baby, what's up? And then one guy was like, hey, isn't that the actor from Napoleon? That's Pedro. I'm like, yeah, this is my real self right here, bro. Sunset Boulevard. How you doing? But again, like, Benicio del Toro, Edward G. Thomas, and these great actors. Johnny Depp just mentioned that to do interesting characters, to work in films and keep changing. Don't do a whole bunch of movies. To me, working on 2 projects a year and being able to disappear in the work is I'm fortunate that I can do that, and I'm lucky, and I hope that whether it's comedy or drama or action, I'm able to tell the world as truthfully as possible and as real as possible. You don't. I hate that experience when you go watch a movie and you're like, after 2 hours, you're like, so what is this movie about? That's not where everybody wants to be. You want to go to a movie theater and you want to enjoy it, whether it's a horror or an adventure or a comedy or drama. So you have to watch King Cobra. Sweet. Maybe I'll do another movie like that. Maybe. I see some of the members of The Walking Dead here today for this Fan Expo, and I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. So, but I also noticed, I also saw one of the villains from Superman 2 was the late Christopher Reeve, and I yes.
He passed.
Yeah. Oh yes.
He passed away.
Oh wow.
No, Jack O'Halloran.
No, Jack O'Halloran.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was talking about Richard Kyle. I'm like, where you got
yeah. So it's always, to me, even when I come to a Comic-Con or a Fan Expo, I'm such a big nerd in comic books and seeing all the other celebrities. I get so excited, that sometimes I get nervous and wanting to talk to them. Because what do you say?
Like that.
How you doing?
How you doing? So, any other questions?
How do you know about directing?
How do my life as a director? I don't know. I mean, I've gone into producing now. You want to be able to have executive producers in the studios to become partners. And I've gone several projects where I go, I agree with this. I want to be able to be a part of it and make this part of it it's very smart to be able to create projects where you know that there is a target audience. You know, I've come across many projects that are very artsy and they're very well written. But if you don't have an audience, then the answer, like, again, they're gonna go, what am I watching? You know, there's like a David Lynch picture is great, but you have to be able to really understand how he metaphorically tells a story. You know, but then you know, like an Oliver Stone or David Fincher picture, you know what you're gonna get. So, and I, as I get older, I want to be able to tie myself as a producer into projects that I believe in and say, okay, cool, and trust a creative director who knows how to not only work with actors, but understands cinematography and the technical aspects of it, of working on how to shoot a film. You know, because a great director is needed to either tell a story or destroy a story if he doesn't know what they can do, no matter how wonderful he is. You know, that has to be very specific. To me, as a director, there's so much. It's a different hat. You know, because you got to be out of the field. And as an actor, I'm so invested in it. Next year, I play a killer in a film. That has taken me about 6 months to agree. Because for actors, even with the actors I respect, they tell me that it's taken them weeks and months to prepare, to open those doors. You know, and when you're playing something very dark, you try not to let that affect you in real life. You know, because I have friends who have done that, and the result of it is not easy. You know, you get messy. So now I'm thinking like, okay, all right. I don't know what scares me more, having to play a killer, or having to do a horror film with possession and demons and all. Because then you won't sleep at all. The demons! And Linda Blair. Yeah, I kept thinking if she was going to be here, I would go to her table and hug her, and say, okay, she's human. She's okay. It's good. It's good. You know, Linda Blair's like my top number one. Yeah, The Exorcist is just number one horror film. I don't even own it, and I don't have it in my house or anything like that. It's really creepy. But to, as I said, to play a killer. I'm still questioning why I'm saying yes to it.
Because you're stretching yourself.
Yeah, but there's some ways that you don't have to really stretch, but I like breaking the rules. You know, I have a drama coming out next year, 2 dramas and a comedy. The comedy is called Border Town. Border Town is a new cartoon by Seth MacFarlane, who does Family Guy, and some of the cast members from The Simpsons. We all know that Simpsons has been out for like 25 years, something like that.
A little bit longer than that.
27 years. So at some point, it'll reach that moment. So some of the cast members of The Simpsons and some of the cast members of Family Guy are merging together to create this new animated series that's coming out next year. So I don't know I don't know if I'm allowed to mention this. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it, but yeah. You know, but that's it. I think it's online, so I think that's okay, right?
Yeah.
If not, put up online.
It's online, right?
Yeah, it is.
You know,
I saw it.
And Mark Hanselman's really cool, and when I go in and I know the fact that it's like with Hank Azaria and Alec Bornstein, to me it's like really sweet. So yeah. Any other questions?
Got one more. Time for one more effort.
Time for one more. Time for one more.
Time for one more.
You guys talk so much. Come on. Gosh. Yeah.
You consider that you may be the only person in history that has a $10 million ad campaign for a political candidacy?
What?
Think about it. If you were to run for office, the coverage that you would get from MTV
Oh, God.
or from wherever would be
You could be the
huge.
mayor of Carmel.
You've already got the buttons.
You already got the T-shirts.
You know,
Buttons.
In the cartoon.
I've met many politicians. I've gone to Washington D.C. and I've done the White House, And
Been there, done that.
I spent time with the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and some of the independents and the Greenpeace Party.
Yes.
And the whole political aspect is such a dangerous thing. And
It's a huge acting opportunity.
If Ronald Reagan did it,
Yes.
you know, I thought about it, you know, about maybe perhaps run for Congress, you know, as I get older.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll play a politician in
Test
film.
it out, test drive it
Yeah,
first.
test drive it, test drive it. But in real life, it's just. I would have to need a lot of security guards, a lot of security guards, because I like to speak the truth, and the phrase stands, you know, when it was said before and even to now in the future. Together we stand, divided we fall.
Exactly.
And it's easier to divide a community, you know, and it's
Nice.
harder to create and to work together and know the fact that we all need each other. So, but keep that in mind. Vote for Pedro.
There you go.
Yeah. See you guys. Well, thank you very much for the panel.
So really, Joe, you got a photo op session going on.
I do?
Yeah.
I have a photo op session.
4:45.
What time?
4:45.
What time is it now?
It's like 4:40-ish.
Oh, 5 minutes.
4:35. You're good. We're
Oh,
good. You got
cool.
10 minutes.
Gotta go.
It's gonna be over in the. Can someone tell me how to say this word? Palmacia.
I'ma see ya.
Yeah. Palmacia.
That way.
Yeah, that palm
Yes.
C
In the
word.
P room.
The P room, yes, that's where we're going.
And don't forget, stop by his table, check it out. No. Stop by his table, say hi to him. I've gotten a chance to know him. He's really awesome. So.
Yeah. Pedro.
You were saying like how it's weird when you're meeting celebrities and you're a fan yourself, and it's just like I don't know what to do.
It's a trickle down.
He walks up, I'm eating pizza, he grabs the slice, I'm not eating, just bites into it, just looks at me while he's eating, like, okay, awesome. We're cool like that.
I have found that the majority of the people that come to smaller conventions like this are a little bit more amiable
Yes.
with their fans.
Yes, and it's awesome.
And not so like, okay, you come here, I will
Yes.
sign your thing.
Yes.
I mean, we did really bad. Unfortunately, his handler
Yeah.
was just like, William was fine, but his handler had more problems. Yeah, his handler was really uptight.
That's what